For Poland Daily News, I'm Phil Goss. 230 years have passed since the Sejm, Poland's parliament, passed the May 3rd Constitution, an Enlightenment document that transformed the nobleman republic's inefficient system into a modern constitutional monarchy. Historians attribute the text to Stanisław August Poniatowski, King of Poland and Grand Duke of Lithuania. To commemorate this anniversary, the presidents of countries that share the heritage of the former Republic of Poland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, and Ukraine, came to Warsaw. Belarussian representatives were absent, entangled in the controversy surrounding election rigging by President Lukashenka and the repression of local opposition.
The celebrations began with a joint, albeit remote, session of the Polish and Lithuanian parliaments. The presidents of both countries delivered speeches. On the day when the historical past meet the present, we listen to the voice of our ancestors. This is a testimony to their wisdom, responsibility, and patriotism. This is our glorious Polish and Lithuanian heritage, a great historical monument, significant for the development of European and human civilization. Let us look upon our common history as an inexhaustible source from which we can draw inspiration at any time. The Constitution of May 3rd calls us to think not only about patriotism, individual freedom, and democratic values, but also about their defense in the face of new threats. In the courtyard of the royal castle in Warsaw, the Polish anthem was sung, and a symbolic tribute to the Constitution of May 3rd took place. The presidents of the Republic of Poland, Estonia, Ukraine, Latvia, and Lithuania adopted a joint declaration emphasizing the historical importance of the Constitution of May 3rd, 1791. On May 3rd, 1791, here at the Royal Castle in Warsaw, the Parliament of the United Poland and Lithuania adopted the Constitution of the state. The second in the world and the first in Europe. It defined not only the new structure, but also the axiological foundations on which the modern republic was to be based. The authors of the Constitution of May 3rd were King Stanisław August Poniatowski, Ignacy Potocki, and Hugo Kołłątaj. The Constitution introduced the division of powers into legislative, executive, and judicial. It limited the legal immunities and privileges of the homestead nobility, the so-called golota. The purpose of the restriction on the nobility was to prevent the possibility of bribery the poor noble by agents of a foreign state. The state turns to the peasants and took care of them. This is the first step, a compromise, so as not to discourage the nobility. Another issue is the incorporation of the law on cities into the constitution, so the townspeople also began to be treated as fellow citizens. Congratulatory cables on the 230th anniversary of the adoption of the May 3rd Constitution have been flowing to the presidential palace for several days now. Wishes have already passed, among others, U.S. President Joe Biden and Secretary of State Antony Blinken. On Tuesday, May 4th, the official bilateral visit of the Estonian president to Poland will take place. Celebrations will be held under full sanitary safeguard with limits on attendance and a requirement to maintain safe social distances.
After a ceremony at the Royal Castle in Warsaw, the presidents of Poland, Estonia, Ukraine, Latvia, and Lithuania signed a declaration announcing their support for Belarusian aspirations for democracy and fair elections, and also for Ukrainian independence. Polish President Andrzej Duda also held political talks with various governments and with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
The presidential declaration reads, "We understand and support the persistent aspirations of all the people of our region, with whom our nations share a common historical fate and whom today wish to enjoy the benefits of freedom and democracy, courageously demanding that their rights be respected. We believe that for all of us, the solidarity of nations, especially in the face of the present threats to our common security, is one of the cornerstones of peace, stability, development, prosperity, and resilience. Guided by this conviction, we will continue the dialogue and cooperation of the countries we represent with commitment." After meeting with the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, Polish President Andrzej Duda said, "We discussed the most important current issues, primarily related to the security of Ukraine, the situation in eastern Ukraine, the problem of the Crimea, currently occupied by the Russians, the occupied Donetsk and Luhansk districts, the presence and number of Russian military units relocated there from various parts of Russia," reported the President Andrzej Duda. He announced that the situation in Ukraine and at the Ukrainian borders would be dealt with by the Bucharest 9 next week and the NATO summit in Brussels in mid-June. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said, "I would like to thank Poland and especially President Andrzej Duda for supporting Ukraine on its path to Euro-Atlantic structures. We thank Poland for its tough stance on the territorial integrity of Ukraine, as well as for the fact that Poland is clearly in favor of not recognizing the annexation of Crimea. I know that there are some unresolved historical questions between our states and nations, but I am convinced that they will be resolved in the future and there will be no misunderstandings between us." Zelensky invited Andrzej Duda to the August celebration of the 30th anniversary of Ukraine's independence and the international meeting of the Crimean platform devoted to the end of the occupation of the peninsula.
The Polish Ministry of Health announced that over 31,000 tests were performed yesterday, resulting in 2,860 new coronavirus diagnoses. 37 people died.
Overall, in Poland, 2,805,000 coronavirus cases have been diagnosed, with 68,105 deaths. The number of vaccines administered rose to 11,944,000, amongst which are almost 9 million first doses and over 2,971,000 second doses. Yesterday, over 54,000 vaccinations were given.
For Poland Daily News, I'm Phil Goss. Good night.